Hello, everybody. So we all know there are a lot of types of businesses that one can choose from to open. However, a lot of us don't exactly know what those type of businesses mean or what they do, what are the advantages or disadvantages of opening them. A lot of us have a lot of ideas that, we want to start up a business with or want to use an existing idea and expand on it. However, a lot of the times we don't know what type of business we should run in order to succeed with that idea that we have or to grow the idea that already exists. So today we're going to start talking about the basic structure of a business that ever exists, and that is a sole trader, or also known as a sole proprietorship. So we're going to talk about who a sole trader is and whether it's a good idea to run a sole proprietorship. So to start with, being a sole trader means you and your company are not separate anymore. So your identity is linked to the company's identity. So say, for example, if I want to become a sole trader and I want to open an ice cream parlor, even though I can give my ice cream parlor a name, so say I call it the fantastic ice cream or the icing ice cream. Even though I have given my business a name, any documents that I receive from the government, from the local offices, from the state office with regards to my taxes or anything else that I'm due to pay or I need to pay, will only be on my name, no matter what name I give my company. Why? Because my identity is not separate from the company's identity. So for the government, I'm a sole trader and the business is on my name, no matter what name or what trading name I give it. It is also true that in a sole proprietorship, no one else legally or rightfully owns your company. So you may employ a lot of people to help you with your business. So for example, I can employ two staff members for my ice cream parlor, one who would work throughout the morning and the other who would work throughout the evening. However, at the end of the day, I'm the one who legally owns the company. So I may not be even in the city where my ice cream parlor is running. And the two staff members that I have employed, they probably are handling everything. However, at the end of the day, it's my name under which the company is registered. Hence, no one else has the legal right to take any decisions with regards to the company or any changes. It is also true that even though you have that wonderful title of being the sole proprietorship, the sole owner of your company, it is also true that you're responsible and solely responsible for its assets and liabilities. So you may not know exactly what assets and liabilities are. So assets are what you own in the company and liabilities is what you owe. So we're going to talk about this in a bit more detail when talking about the advantages and disadvantages of being a sole trader. So in general, this is what a sole trader is all about. A sole proprietorship this is what it revolves around. So you and your company are not separate from each other. You are the one who own it. However, you as well need to be responsible for its assets and liabilities. Now, is it a good option to be a sole proprietor? It really depends at the end of the day on your business idea and how many people you think your business needs to have in order to run the company. And it also depends on whether you really want people to help you in your matter and be with you and be equally responsible, or you just want to be your own boss and you just want staff members to work for you. So we're going to look at the advantages and disadvantages. So the first one is that you are your own boss. Now, that is very true. Like in a sole trader or sole proprietorship, you are the one who decides what to do. You have your own space. You have your own privacy. So say if you don't want to work on a particular day, that's your choice. Of course, you need to decide whether that will affect your business or not, but no one is there to stop you from not working or from taking a day off. So that is one of the biggest advantages. And one of the biggest disadvantages that exists is that there is unlimited liability. Now, previously we were talking about assets and liabilities, and I said liabilities was something that you owe, that your company owes. Now, unlimited liability means that because we mentioned that as a sole trader, there is no separation between you and the company, that means that actually there is no separation between your assets and the company's assets and your liabilities and the company's liabilities. So say, for example, if 2 years later your business does not work well due to any reason, and you're on the verge of getting bankrupt, the bank has the legal right to possess your personal items, your personal possessions. So that can be your car, your house. Why? Because you technically owe money to the government if you've not paid your taxes or if you've not paid your loans on time. So the bank and the government both have the right to go and take over your personal possessions because you owe money to both of them. And since as a sole trader, your company is equal to you, then if your company owes money to the bank or the government in any way whatsoever, then that means you owe that money. And if the government or the bank need to take your personal things or personal items from you to recover that money, that is perfectly fine. So that could even be your house, your car, anything that you have saved or that you currently have. Whereas if you choose a company like a limited company, then you have limited liability. So you only have got limited liability. So that means that if your company goes bankrupt at any stage and your company, not you, but your company owes money to the bank or the government in any way in terms of taxes or loans, then the government and company cannot come to you directly or to your house and take your things. They only can take whatever the company is able to give them. Why? Because you're actually working as a legal company which has its own identity and represents itself separately. Now, the other advantage is that all the profits are yours, of course. So if you gain a lot of profit, if your business idea succeeds, then of course everything is yours. You don't need to share it with anyone else, not even the staff, because of course, remember, you are your own boss and you decide whatever you want to decide. That leads to a lot of responsibilities. In order to make a lot of profits, it's not very easy to come up with a lot of profits. You need to come up with different ideas, need to make sure everything's working fine, and that is a lot of responsibility. And sometimes just for a single person it could be way too much, because remember, a business is composed of different sections. We spoke about entrepreneurship in my previous video, where you need to handle initially everything from marketing to HR to finance. Everything is yours, and sometimes day-to-day responsibilities become very hectic for one single person. So that may not be something that you would be really interested in. The next advantage that we have is it's a very simple structure, so there are no complications. It's very easy to set up. In the future, if at some stage you think your business is growing too much, you can easily change your structure to say from a sole trader to a private or public limited company. It's not that difficult to go ahead from a sole trader to something else. However, it's very difficult to go from a limited company back to a sole trader. That has a lot of other complications. But sole trader, because it's the most basic business structure and it's the easiest to set up, there's always more possibilities to grow and further change the company. The disadvantage in that sense of a sole trader is, although it's very easy to set up, you are taxed as a single person. So the government does know that you're the only one who receives the profits and you're the only one who gets everything. So of course the government knows all that. So you're taxed as a single person, not as a company. So of course, sometimes that involves a bit more of taxes. In Spain, for example, I know sole traders actually need to pay a lot more tax than in other countries. And not only that, but also sole traders need to pay tax from the minute they start earning. In other countries like the UK, for example, you are not liable to register for VAT, for example, and you can actually allow yourself to earn first and then pay your taxes, if I'm not wrong. So that, of course, has its disadvantages. Also depends on where you're living and what type of idea, as I said before, you have and whether you want to risk it. Last advantage that we have is that the costs initially to set up a sole trader or sole proprietorship are initially very low. So you don't need a lot of money. You can actually survive with whatever savings you have, or maybe the tiniest loan, the smallest loan, and you can actually, set up your business in your house or somewhere nearby, because you're the one who's deciding. You don't actually need a proper location and you don't need a lot of money to go into it. You know exactly what you're doing and you know how much you want to invest. Otherwise, in other types of companies, you need to sort of discuss this with other people. However, a disadvantage that comes hand in hand with that is that it does become harder with time to raise funds because it's only you who owns the company. You may not have the greatest savings in the world, and you as a single person may not be allowed to take a huge amount of loan from your bank, or you may not be granted grants from the government because obviously you're just a single person. You may end up getting it all to yourself. With a limited company or more complex company, the government knows that you may need grants or you may need funds. The bank is more willing to give you loans because you're a bigger company and they know exactly what's going on. And with more people in the company, it's more possible, it's more likely that each person has more savings, like each person has some sort of savings, so altogether that becomes a great amount of money. So that is definitely an advantage. So if you're someone who thinks that your business is going to grow very fast, then starting with a sole proprietorship may not be the best of options, but of course it all depends. If you think it's going to give you like a margin of 1 to 2 years to grow, then being a sole proprietor for 1 or 2 years does no harm. Now, that's all that we know and need to know about sole proprietors. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them down in the comments below, and I will come back to you as soon as possible with the answers. And see you in my next video with more types of businesses. Thank you.